Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero podcast, the show where I cover the least in the best way possible. I'm your host, Jason Wells. Today is Wednesday, January 1st. Happy New Year, everybody. And the Patriots now have the first overall pick. This was a weird, crazy week of football. And I mainly say this because there was a lot of bad quarterbacks and bad teams. There was a lot of blowouts. We got to see Mason Rudolph versus Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett / Tanner McKee versus Cooper Rush, Tyler Huntley versus DTR, Joe Flacco and Drew Lock, Aiden O'Connell and Spencer Rattler, and we got limited this, but Tyrod Taylor versus Mitch Trubisky. A lot of bad quarterbacks playing this week, but again, any week of NFL football is a good week of NFL football, and we are officially on the last week of the season. It's been a great season. Every single year, it's a great season. I mean, I remember when people earlier in the year were saying that, oh my God, we're in such a bad era of quarterback play, and there have been some incredible QB performances this year, and I honestly think I would be comfortable with starting 20 quarterbacks on my team right now. Like, again, that varies a lot in the high-end guys, but I think there are 20 capable starters in the league, and that seems like a high number. I'm not going to go back and look back, but this is going to be a good episode recapping this week 17, kind of get into some playoffs, some maybe a little bit more off-season stuff in this one, but let's get into the episode here. But before I actually get into the episode, it is award season coming up in the NFL, and I took it upon myself because I think that, and I think a lot of people think that, the media narratives and the bullshit surrounding all the awards, it's a lot right now. So I have devised my own ballot. We're doing it in kind of a Heisman style where first place gets the most amount of points all the way to fifth place. I got 10 nominees for each award. We're doing, again, the obvious ones: MVP, Offensive, Defensive Player, Coach of the Year, both Rookies of the Year, but then I'm adding in some new ones. Also Comeback Player of the Year, but injuries only. And the new ones we're doing Coordinator of the Year, which is, I actually think that is an NFL award, but either way, Breakout Player of the Year, the Bum of the Year, the Damn, that old dude is still playing good football award, the Best Unit Pause award. I think that's it. I think those are all the awards. So I'm going to have the link in my Instagram bio, cover_0pod on Instagram. If you click the link in my bio, the Google Forms sheet should be there. I think I've already had 14 responses. I've already added some new guys. I've added 2 new awards too, so you can always go back, change your award basically until probably before the Super Bowl, that week where there's nothing happening. That's probably when I'll talk about the awards and stuff like that. But either way, go vote if you care, because this is the official ballot. Whatever the media says and whoever they give out the awards, doesn't matter. The Cover Zero ballot is what matters at the end of the day. But yeah, I think we can just get into this week of football here. We'll start off with the game that we watched most recently, that Monday night game. Lions 40, Niners 34. I said that the Lions are going to have to basically score 40 points every single game if they want to win, and that's exactly what they did. And this Niners defense, it's hurt, it's banged up, it's been up and down all season. They still got good players, and the fact that they just could not stop the Lions at all, I mean, it just kind of goes to show you the Niners season, but the Lions are so damn good. And I can talk about so many different people on the Lions, whether it be Jared Goff in his MVP-esque type season. I don't think he'll win, but he's having a good one. Jahmyr Gibbs is incredible. David Montgomery, he's hurt now, but he's awesome. Amon-Ra, Jameson Williams is having his breakout. Sam Laporta is still awesome, that offensive line. The defense is hurt. We can talk about Ben Johnson and his trick plays. We can talk about Aaron Glenn still getting this defense to play hard. Dan Campbell being just the big rah-rah football guy, head coach. But I'm going to talk about someone who I don't think gets nearly enough credit for the Lions' overall success, and that's GM Brad Holmes. Since he's got there in 2021, he has just hit pick after pick after pick after pick. And I looked it up in his, 21, 22, 23, 24. In his 4 draft classes, the Lions have had 29 total picks, and he's hit on 55% of them. And when I say hit on those picks, I'm talking about guys who are basically starters or high-end backups. Not talking about guys who are rotational special teams guys. These are just the guys that I know are contributing basically every single game. 55%. Basically, every single draft, he comes away with 3 to 4 players that will be starting on his teams in the future. That's an absolutely insane mark. I think that when I briefly looked it up, like what's the hit rate, it's usually like 35% of GM's like picks hit. He's hitting at 55%. Brad Holmes deserves a ton of credit for how this Lions team looks. They are just extremely hard to stop on offense. And someone who gets a lot of love already, but he didn't have his, Sonic and Knuckles. He didn't have Knuckles with him for the last couple games now, but I think Jahmyr Gibbs, if, let's say, David Montgomery, and this isn't going to be the case, but if Montgomery were to go somewhere and it's like just Jahmyr Gibbs in that backfield, he's Offensive Player of the Year worthy. He is absolutely terrific, dynamic with the football in his hands. There's so much good to talk about on the Lions offense, and they are incredibly hard to stop. But these are kind of the performances I expect from this defense at this point. This Niners offense, they're bruised, they're beat up, they're hurt, and they scored at will. It was 2 bad mistakes by Brock Purdy, 2 picks by Kirby Joseph, bringing him up to 9 on the year. Shout out to Kirby Joseph. He's getting some Defensive Player of the Year consideration at this point. But what was it talking about? Purdy. That's what the defense. This Lions defense is not good. And if you can just stop the Lions a couple times on offense, I think that most playoff offenses should be able to score at will against that Lions defense right now. Again, their secondary still got some players in it. We got Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, probably the best safety duo in the league. Afitu Melanofonwu is just coming back from injury. He's a solid player. Tyrion Arnold, their first-round pick. He's had an up-and-down year. I still think he's a very good player, or could be a very good player anyways. Carlton Davis is very solid. Like, the secondary is not bad. It's that front 7 that's just absolutely terrible. They're hoping they get Alex Anzalone back at some point, but this is what worries me about the Lions, is this defense is not good enough to compete with anyone at the end of the day. But lucky for them, their offense is just that elite, that special, where they can do it. I don't think I really have to say more about the Lions. We can move on to the Niners here, where a lot of people, and when I say a lot of people, I mainly mean Shannon Sharp, are calling out Brock Purdy. And it's not just specifically Brock Purdy. His rants have been just about quarterbacks in general, costing his team games. And yes, did Brock Purdy throw 2 bad interceptions? Of course. The defense let up 40 points. And again, Purdy's not blameless. He had 2 very bad mistakes, and in the end, probably cost his team the game more or less. But the defense didn't stop them once. The only time that they stopped them was when the Lions went for it on 4th down, and that was that. The defense, again, couldn't stop the Lions whatsoever. When you score 40 points, I don't think it really matters what Brock Purdy does. Again, interceptions, bad. Also doesn't help, though, that they lost by 6. And Jake Moody, who they drafted in the mid-rounds last year, 0 for 2 on field goals, missed an extra point, and look at that. That would have been an extra 7 points that would have won them the game. Purdy's to blame a little bit, but let's again, it's a team sport. The defense didn't show up whatsoever. Their kicker is absolutely atrocious, and that just brings me to a whole other point with kickers of just don't draft a kicker. I don't know why teams do it. I don't care. Again, like even if you look at a guy like Roberto Aguayo most recently, who was drafted in the second round by the Bucks, 2015, 2016, something like that. One of the best kickers in college. He didn't miss. He was good from 55 plus. Like he had a strong, and he just got to the league and he was terrible. Don't draft kickers. It's just a waste of time. Let other teams do it. Get the failed guys. Like Jake Bates is one of the best kickers in the league for the Lions, and they picked him up from the UFL. Is it the UFL? Either way, I don't really care. Yeah, it was never the Niners season this year. So many injuries, a lot to overcome. The one thing that they should be happy with is that rookie Ricky Pearsall kind of had his big breakout game, 8 catches, 141 yards, and a TD. Those are crazy numbers, again, especially after being shot. And he comes back, and again, we'll talk about it in the offseason, but I'm still high on the Niners going into next year. Purdy's still cheap. They'll have to move some money around, obviously, but I think their weapons are still good. The offensive line, if they can get another piece in there, it's looking better and better. The defense still has a lot of very good pieces. But yeah, just not the Niners' year. We can go back all the way back to Wednesday, a week ago, literally a week ago. These two Christmas games, Chiefs 29, Steelers 10. The Chiefs are back. The Chiefs are absolutely back. Pat Mahomes, 29 of 38, 320 yards, 3 TDs. Run game couldn't get going. That's fine, though, because the passing attack looks good. Travis Kelce, 8 catches, 84 yards, and a TD. Also passes Tony Gonzalez for the franchise lead in touchdowns. That's an absolutely huge mark for him. Xavier Worthy just keeps getting better and better every single week. Again, I said it, I think, in my preview or my recap, where Xavier Worthy was getting that Rashee Rice treatment, where they eased him in, and now it looks like, okay, he is Pat Mahomes' number one target. Yeah, 8 catches, 79 yards, and another TD. Hollywood Brown, 4 catches for 46 yards. They just have so many guys who can get open. And like I can keep going down the list. Justin Watson, 2 catches, 60 yards, and a TD. Juju Smith-Schuster, this is, again, 2 catches, 18 yards. Hopkins, 2 catches, 17 yards. Noah Grace having a good season. Like, they've got so many guys who are just contributors. Are a lot of them high-end contributors? No, but they got so many guys on that offense now. And it looks like their left tackle spot, which has been a sore spot the entire season, has been fixed. And how they fixed it is they took probably going to be all-pro guard Joe Thuney, and they moved him to left tackle. And he had some tough matchups, obviously, going against the Steelers' pass rush, whether it was TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, I'm forgetting Preston Smith. He had his hands full in this one, but Joe Thuney is a really good left tackle also, apparently. Again, the people who were worried and concerned about, the Chiefs and, they're playing so many close games, they're 15-1. They will finish the season 15-2, probably. I hope they don't. Obviously, I'm cheering for Carson Wentz in this one, but I don't know. They should win another Super Bowl again. I don't know why they wouldn't. They're great. Their defense is awesome. I digress. Steelers on the other side, they're just not good. Sorry, I take that back. They're not a great team, and I've been saying this for months, and I think that over the last month and a bit, basically, so I think over the last 5-6 weeks, I've had the same 7 teams in my top 7 for my power rankings. The Steelers are not one of those teams, and I think that's the cutoff, where the Steelers, they're going to make the playoffs. They're a good team. But it's the same story every year, where the Steelers get above 9 wins, they're a solid, scrappy team, and that's just kind of what it is. Again, I think they have players that are nice, but like George Pickens, it's whenever he decides to give a shit and give some effort in a game, really. The run game, it's fine. Like, I don't think that Najee Harris and Jalen Warren are that great of a duo. The box score numbers look good in this one, but again, this game wasn't close at all. The Chiefs absolutely whooped them. The defense was fine. They're missing Joey Porter Jr., which is a big loss right now, but there's no need to believe in the Steelers. And it's weird, the kind of like the levels of how teams view themselves, because me being a Dolphins fan, I would love if my coach for a decade plus never had a losing season. But on the inverse of that, there's Steelers fans who are upset with that standard because they think Super Bowl should be the standard, and they haven't been really close to one. I mean, they won that one in 08, 09. I think those are the right years. And then, like, they would have been close in some Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell years, but, like, not really. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of Steelers fans complaining about kind of where they are. They got to figure out a quarterback. Russ obviously isn't the future. They got to figure out who that guy can potentially be. And that's always the hardest question, but we will keep going here. Ravens 31, Texans 2. Absolutely embarrassed. A Texans, another one of these teams who are making the playoffs. They won the division. They stink. This is not a good team. And again, so many injuries that we can talk about here. But they're not good. This is, again, whoever, because there's a chance where it's the 5 seed would play the Texans, and right now that's the Steelers, where I think the Steelers lose to the Bengals, and then the Chargers beat the Raiders, the Chargers get that 5 seed. Playing for that 5 seed is extremely important, because if you're the 6 or 7 seed, you have to go against the Bills or the Ravens. Playing the Texans is definitely the easiest first-round matchup that anyone can get in the AFC right now, so Steelers still playing for something. The Texans, they're just bad. But so we will just talk about the Ravens, because I honestly have nothing to say about the Texans at all. Derek Stingley, awesome. But, like, whatever, didn't matter in this game. Lamar ends up passing Michael Vick for most rushing yards by a QB in his career. Lamar's having an absolutely special season. And if he didn't win MVP last year, I think the odds would be a lot closer between him and Josh Allen right now. And I think that just because he did win last year, that it's probably going to be Allen's award. Again, I think that they're neck and neck. I think both have very, very compelling cases to win the award, but I don't know. It's very tough. Lamar, another great day, 10 for 15, 168 yards, 2 passing TDs, then 4 carries for 87 yards and another touchdown. Derrick Henry was an absolute force, 27 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown. The defense is shaping up. The Ravens, again, they're gearing up into what they should be and how people view themselves or view them going into the year. Now it's just answer the questions in the playoffs. That's what they need to do. Again, the AFC is much, much harder to win in than the NFC right now, but it is what it is. The Ravens are so good. The Ravens are awesome. And we can move on to the Thursday night game, which was the absolute opposite of awesome. Seahawks 6, Bears 3. This was one of the games that thankfully I went to bed early because I had to be up early in the morning because I was driving home back from my girlfriend's parents' place over Christmas. So I was like, yeah, I'll go to bed at halftime. That's fine. And thank God I did, because no one scored in the second half. The game could have been over at half and everyone could have been happy to go home early, get in bed early, just enjoy their nights. Instead, no, they had to sit through that slop fest. Not good. And I don't think I really have anything else I don't have anything else to say other than not good. This game stunk. Ending Thursday Night Football off on the right note, which is this. But again, in May, I'm going to be complaining about, how I wish that I had Seahawks Bears Thursday Night Football back on my TV again. But in the moment, I can say that game stunk. That game was one of the worst games of the year. And we've had some pretty bad games this year. But 6-3 final score, terrible. Absolutely terrible. We'll move on to the Saturday games here. Another terrible, terrible game. Chargers 40, Patriots 7. Yeah. What do you expect? The Chargers, who are a playoff team, have been relatively good basically the entire year, kick the shit out of the Patriots because the Patriots are the worst team in football. I think it's as simple as that. J.K. Dobbins being back is a huge help. That run game looked way better than it did. Herbert had a great game, 26 of 38, 281 yards, 3 TDs. And then there's Ladd McConkey, who passed the 1,000-yard mark as a rookie wide receiver, joining Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, or I guess Ladd would have been there in front of Neighbors, but either way, and then Brock Bowers, either way. 4 rookie receivers, or pass catchers anyways, with 1,000-plus yards. It's been a really good first round of the draft anyways. Like, Xavier Legette might be the worst first-round pick this year, and I think that he's still talented and has some upside, and like when you can say that that guy is by far the worst pick of the first round, there means that there was a lot of good first-round picks. I think that a lot of teams walked away from that draft being very happy with who they ended up getting, but I digress because I have to make my bigger point here. So Ladd McConkey in this one, 8 catches, 94 yards, and 2 TDs. He finished with more yards in this game than Jalen Polk and Javon Baker, the 2 Patriots rookie wide receivers, had the entire season. And if you don't remember correctly, the Patriots actually traded out of this spot with the Chargers. So the Chargers selected Ladd, and then the Patriots went on to select Polk and Baker, where if they just would have stayed at that spot, Ladd, again, would have been the much, much better pick, but doesn't matter who's drafting, apparently. The Patriots cannot draft wide receivers to save their life. Either way, Chargers kick their ass, Patriots on the other side. Drake May played like Drake May. He had some wow throws, but again, what can he really do? Christian Gonzalez does his thing, but again, it's one corner on the team. They have 2 guys who I'm confident in should be on this roster like going forward, or at least they have like 2 like blue chip guys. I'd consider Christian Barmore to be in that, but he has so much health related stuff going on where it's hard to put him in with those guys at this point. But the Patriots they need everything, and right now they're in the spot of picking first overall, which that's huge for them. Whether that be trade out so someone can get one of these QBs, I'm in the firm position that you should not be trading up and giving up future assets for either one of these quarterbacks, but that's just not how the NFL works. But I'm also of the opinion where I don't know what the Patriots do, where the plan was Gerard Mayo to be the successor from Bill, and they went ahead with that plan, and I don't think Gerard Mayo is a bad NFL coach at this point. Again, it's his first year, but he's just seemed wildly unprepared for a lot of what head coaching has to do. And this doesn't mean that he can't fix it, get better, but it's tough. I don't know. This is a very good head coaching cycle, at least in my opinion it is, where if you stick with Mayo, if you stick with Elliott Wolf and Alex Van Pelt and, like, again, who they brought in at the start of this year to be like, yeah, we'll give you another year, it's kind of make or break, where if they don't immediately, they have so much cap space, they have the first overall pick right now. If they don't take that next, like, a significant step up from being the worst team in the league this year to, again, I'm not expecting a ton, but a 6-7 win team, maybe 8 wins, like, there needs to be significant improvement, and I don't know if Mayo and the front office are the people to take them there. They hit on the quarterback, and that's the thing you can be happiest about the most, because finding a quarterback is the hardest thing that you can do. I just don't know if I'm sold on front off coaching, whatever. We can move on to the next Saturday game here. This game was absolutely awesome. Broncos 24, Bengals 30. This game went to overtime. Probably shouldn't have went to overtime. Chase Brown gets injured on this play where he goes down at the 1 or the 2 or whatever it is. Gets down at the 1, tweaks something, he's hurt, and it's like, oh no. But it's like, okay, the Bengals can like chew down the clock, kick a field goal, and I think they'd give it back to the Broncos with no timeouts and like 30 seconds left, where you would think that they wouldn't be able to do it. But no, after Chase Brown going down, hurting himself to try to like preserve the win, the Bengals just score on the very next play, give the Broncos tons of time and timeouts to go down and also tie the game. That's exactly where they did. And overtime happens, and it's hard to stop Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow when they're fully going, but this was just another game where Joe Burrow hit the 250-plus passing yard, his 3-touchdown mark. Burrow's having an excellent season. But the people who are being like, oh, Joe Burrow should be the MVP if they make the playoffs, and he should just be the MVP even if they don't, because of like how he's carried this team. And yeah, Joe Burrow has carried this team to an extent. I think having Jamar Chase and T. Higgins is a big help of that, and even Chase Brown, because Chase Brown as a receiving threat out of the backfield, it helps. But when people point to the counting stats for Burrow, the passing yards, the TDs, oh, he's so much farther ahead than everyone. The reason he has to pass so much is because his team is constantly down in games or constantly fighting to win a game that they should win. He has 100 more passing attempts than Allen and Lamar right now. There's a reason that he has 600 more yards and like 7 more TDs. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but he has to throw the ball all the damn time. Literally every single. There's no like, oh, they can take a load off here and just run the ball and drain the clock out. No, they're throwing the ball all 4 quarters for 17 straight games to maybe sneak into the playoffs. Joe Burrow's having a great year, but Lamar, Josh Allen, they're having better ones. I think it's as simple as that. I don't think that him having the bets like passing counting stats when Lamar and Allen are literally sitting out games and sitting out full quarters of games because their team is so far ahead, where Burrow every time is seemingly having to come back or hold on to a lead every single time. I don't know. This was a very good back and forth game. And yeah, it was really that fourth quarter, 28 points scored total. But yeah, the Bengals come away on top, and now that means Miami and the Bengals both have a chance to make the playoffs. If the Broncos lose this week, unfortunately they're playing Carson Wentz, but that's for Friday's episode. Broncos on the other side, Bo Nix had another Bo Nix type performance where his deep ball to Marvin Mims, that was an incredible throw. And that's just kind of where I stop with his praise. That was an excellent throw. He launched that fucking thing. It's great to see that he has that kind of arm talent. They don't use his arm talent enough, and I don't think that he is consistent enough of a passer to eventually even use that arm talent. I don't know. This was just another Bo Nix game where he managed the game well. He played well enough. He had a bad turnover. But, again, it's impressive. It's great what he's doing in his rookie year. He has proven me wrong. He's proven a lot of people wrong with our pre-draft takes. But, I don't think that I think he has already hit his ceiling. And that's what I'll continue to say with Bo Nix, where I don't think he gets much better over the next couple years, where, again, his offensive line has been the best offensive line in football. People want to point to the Lions and the Eagles, who have been the most, or the better, more consistent offensive lines over the last few years. But what this Broncos offensive line is doing and how much time they are giving Nix in the pocket to basically analyze and do what he wants is a massive, massive help that I don't think a lot of people are realizing. This isn't to knock on Bo Nix. I guess it technically is, but whatever. The other person I do have to talk about here, though, is Marvin Mims. 8 catches, 103 yards, 2 TDs. He was the recipient of that long bomb catch from Bo Nix, too. And my question for Sean Payton and the Broncos is, why did it take until week 10 to finally start using Marvin Mims again? He was an electric, maybe electric's too far, but he was, I don't know, a really good dynamic pass catcher for the Broncos last year when he did get used, and it felt going into this year that he might be either, or not number one option because Courtland Sutton still exists, but like he might be the number 2, and he is someone who put the ball in his hands, he can make good things happen. And for some reason, it took the Broncos 10 weeks to realize, oh shit, yeah, we have him on the roster. Maybe we should try to get him involved. And ever since then, he's been their best weapon. I might even put him above Courtland Sutton for what he's done over these past 7 weeks, I guess. I don't know. Like, that's just, it's so weird that you have this guy on your roster the entire time and you forgot about him, essentially. While guys like, God, I can't even remember, but Devon Vele and Troy Franklin and other guys are getting like opportunities when Mims was solid last year. And again, he's shown that he is a good enough, again, I think he's their second best weapon on the team, but whatever. Sean Payton, you do you. You have your team line or with the opportunity to make the playoffs, so whatever. And then finally, Saturday night game here, Cardinals 9, Rams 13. This was also a smelly game. I'm a little bit worried about the Rams. They've wrapped up the division, but the way that their offenses looked the last couple weeks has not been great. And people were talking about, especially after that Bills game where they won, where, the Rams offense is so tough to stop. I don't know, like, if they get hot, they could do it. And the last few weeks has not been good. And they have not been playing against great defenses either. They played the Jets, they played the Cardinals this week. It's tough. The run game still looks good. Kyron still looks good. Puka's awesome. Cooper Kupp is just kind of an afterthought maybe at this point. That might be something that they look into this offseason rather. I don't know what his contract's like, but again, getting another piece on that offense to upgrade. But I don't know. I'm not really frightened by, and no team should be, by what the Rams are doing right now. And if you look in the NFC right now where, okay, Lions or Vikings are going to have that 1 seed. And then if you're the... How am I looking at this? What am I trying to say here? Yes. So the Rams right now I think they have the 3rd seed locked up because of divisions. So if you're in that second wild card spot, which right now the Commanders have, you would play the Rams. And I would much rather play the Rams over the Bucks or the Eagles or the Vikings / Lions. Never mind, they have the 1 seed. Either way, I don't know what I'm really trying to say other than in the NFC, I want that first round matchup against the Rams. You get to go to LA in essentially a dome, but it's not a dome, but it kind of is a dome. That would be the best matchup, in my opinion, to play. I don't want to play Baker and the Bucks. They look, and we'll talk about them when we talk about them, but yeah, the Rams I don't really get right now. The other side of this, the Cardinals. I thought, and I'm pretty sure when I did like my mid-season preview talking about teams where this was going to be the bet on the Cardinals. Their offense is looking good. Kyler looks good. They'll get Marv more involved, yada, yada, yada. And Kyler, like he has in every single season, has faded in the second half, where he plays good enough, but then Kyler is such a weird quarterback to me, because there are times where when he is on his game, when he's that little toddler running around, doing his quick little shuffles, like he can play at a top 5 level. But consistently across the seasons and all of his starts, he's not that. Like, we get those flashes, those top 5 flashes from him every now and again, but consistently he is in the 10 to 15 range at quarterback right now, probably. Yeah, I don't know. Kyler's good again, like top 20 quarterback, but his peaks are top 5. Like, he does have that talent in there. It's just not consistent and not there. And we gotta figure out. I mean, there's a lot of things to figure out on the Cardinals. I mean, they just need a whole new defense. They need actual impact players on defense, not named Budda Baker. I thought the offense would have been good enough to do more, but that wasn't the case, clearly. Trey McBride caught his first touchdown of the year. Shout out Trey McBride. I forgot to bet him to score a touchdown, and I'm really disappointed in myself, but he got one. Trey McBride, really, really good tight end. I don't think there's much more to say than that. So let's get into these Sunday games here. Eagles 41, Cowboys 7. Saquon now needs 100 yards to break Eric Dickerson's total right now. I hope that they let him do it, or at least play the first half against the Giants on Friday. And we should know who's playing in these games when I do Friday's show, but there are people trying to discount Saquon Barkley and being like, oh, he's taken him 17 games to pass Eric Dickerson, when Eric Dickerson carried the ball, I think, like 50-something more times than Saquon has already this season, and I don't think Saquon's getting 50-plus carries in this one, or in the next game anyways. Like, Saquon's having an unbelievable season. Saquon deserves to break the rushing record if he wants it. Yeah, other than this, Kenny Pickett actually played pretty well before leaving the game with a rib injury, 10 of 15 for 143 yards and 1 passing TD. But then we got to talk about third-string guy, Tanner McKee. 3 for 4, 54 yards and 2 passing TDs. Incredible football, some may say. Not really, but... and it was funny so Tanner McKee throws his first touchdown pass of his career, A.J. Brown not realizing it and just throwing the ball into the crowd, and then people are telling him, it's like, you just threw his ball away, and he's just, like, shocked, stunned on the sideline. Ended up making it up where the fan got, like, an A.J. Brown signed game-worn jersey for Tanner McKee's football, where I don't think that football is really going to go for much on eBay or the open market, so I think that was a very fair trade to make, but... yeah, the Eagles are awesome. We knew this. We knew that the Eagles were great. They should have kicked the shit out of the Cowboys, and that's exactly what they did. Some Cowboys players disagree, Micah Parsons being one of them, being like, oh, if you take away the scoreboard and take away 5 plays, like, we're right in that game. And sure, Micah, like, I guess, you lost 41-7. I don't think you can say that game was closer than the scoreboard said. No, it wasn't. It just, it simply wasn't. Rico Dowdle, another 100-yard rushing game. Shout out to Rico Dowdle, I guess. Maybe the Cowboys have a running back. They should still look to add another running back in the offseason anyways. But, yeah, no CeeDee Lamb. It's not really a ton to talk about. Yeah. I don't know. Shout out to Jerry and Stephen Jones for trading a 3rd-round pick for Jonathan Mingo. He did a ton, huh? That was a worthwhile investment to make. Really, really smart GMing. There was Eagles fans at the game who were like telling Jerry how great a job he's doing, and he should just keep doing what he's doing to obviously like get at him and rib him a little. And yeah, they're right. Jerry does a terrible job. He has not done anything since the 90s other than grow the Cowboys brand, which fans don't care about how big the Cowboys brand is nationally. They care about winning meaningful football games, which hasn't happened in a long time. We can go on to our next blowout here. Bills 40, Jets 14. And those 2 touchdowns were by Tyrod Taylor late in the fourth quarter. So the Bills were shutting them out for a long time. Josh Allen ends up sitting in the fourth quarter as well in this one. I don't know. Again, I said it earlier, the debate between Lamar and Josh Allen for MVP right now, it is insanely tight. Both guys really deserve all the praise that they've been getting, but I think that the most compelling stat for me anyways is the Bills are averaging something like 30 something points per game right now on offense, which that's a terrific number. But they're doing it without a 1,000-yard receiver, and they're not going to get one. James Cook might be a 1,000-yard rusher, but they might hold him out. So they're averaging 30-plus points on offense per game with no 1,000-yard receiver and no 1,000-yard rusher. Again, maybe James Cook does it. I doubt they play him, but whatever. That is absolutely unbelievable. And this isn't to knock the skill position guys that Josh Allen does have, because I think Shakir is awesome. I think Kincaid's good. James Cook is clearly awesome. Amari Cooper doesn't really get involved, but he's still Amari Cooper. Keon Coleman's having a good rookie year. Mac Hollins is solid. Like, they have guys, but I don't know. It's such a team effort, and Josh Allen has taken all of the bad out of his game that people have talked about. The injuries, or no, it's not the injuries, the interceptions, the fumbles, it's all gone. The doy plays. Josh Allen is playing the best football he ever has right now, and I still think he does deserve to be the MVP. We can leave it at that. The Bills absolutely crushed them in this one. Mitch Trubisky went 1 for 1 for 69 yards and a TD to Tyrell Shavers, who ended up leading them in yards on the day with that 1 catch for 69 yards. Jets on the other side. Aaron Rodgers being an idiot, yelling at his tight ends for not doing enough, even though he threw a ball into the dirt at his feet, which should have been a walk-in touchdown, but, Aaron Rodgers is a bum. And we play the Jets next week, we being the Dolphins. And I hope Rodgers plays, because if Tyrod Taylor plays, I'm more worried about losing to Tyrod Taylor than I am with Aaron Rodgers. I don't think that it's that crazy of a statement to make. The only reason Rodgers might play is he is 1 touchdown away from getting 500 in his career right now, but I have no idea. If there's any dinged up players on the Jets right now, they should absolutely sit out. I'm looking at Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is banged up right now, but the Jets stink. What else is new? Next game up here, Raiders 25, Saints 10. Brock Bowers passes Mike Ditka for the most receiving yards by a rookie tight end in a single season. Again, Brock Bowers is awesome, and I still maintain my point where Brock Bowers having an all-pro year should supersede what Jaden Daniels is doing. And Jaden Daniels is having a phenomenal rookie season, but he's not an all-pro. He just isn't right now. He's having a great rookie season, but it's not an all-pro season. To me, if you're having an all-pro season, that means you're one of the best in the NFL. Should be Brock Bowers, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. Aiden O'Connell played pretty good. Again, it's Aiden O'Connell. We're not like, and it's Aiden O'Connell against the Saints. That's not whatever. But yeah, Brock Bowers, 7 catches for 77 yards. But the real story on the Raiders that I have to talk about is Amir Abdullah. And I've been bringing up his name a lot. But Abdullah drafted out of Nebraska, I think in 2014. So in his 11 NFL seasons, has never had a 100-plus rushing yard game in his career. That's over 140 games played. Obviously, those aren't all starts because he's in his 30s now playing running back. That's just not how it works. But yeah, in 11 seasons, Amir Abdullah has never had 100-plus rushing yards in a game. until now. He did it this past weekend. 20 rushes, 115 yards, 5.8 per carry. Also added 3 catches for 32 yards as well. That's great, and there's a reason why he is nominated for Damn, that old dude is still playing some really good football award. It's such a great story. Like, again, you don't see guys having, like, breakout years in year 11, but here's, again, and, like, hitting that 100-plus yard mark as a running back, it's very hard in general. But to do it in year 11, when you've never done it before, I think his next closest mark was 90. Shout out to Amir Abdullah. Great player, fun player. Happy he's still kicking around in the league. But that's all we kind of got to say with the Raiders. Saints on the other side. Spencer Rattler led them in rushing. Yeah, I got nothing to say about the Saints. Like, honestly, this game did not come across my screen much on Sunday, I can tell you that. So let's just keep going. The craziest game of the week, Giants 45, Colts 33. A lot of Giants fans mad about this one, costing them first overall. I don't think it's a bad thing that you won this game. Again, if you've listened to me and you've listened to the last few episodes anyways, when I've gotten into more draft talk, I don't think this is a draft where you should take a quarterback that high. But now the Giants are in a spot where they might have to trade up for one, and I think that's definitely the wrong decision to make. But it all depends on who those decision makers end up being for the Giants. If Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are still around, they kind of have to take a quarterback. There's no one more year of waiting. It's take the guy who you think is the best and have that be that. Where if they get fired, if a new GM head coach combo comes in, they should wait. I absolutely think that they should wait until next year's class. Next year's class looks like it's just keeps getting better and better. Again, off the top of my head, Arch Manning, Nico Iamaleava, Drew Aller, Cade Klubnik went back from Clemson, and there's always guys who kind of just come out of nowhere anyways, but those are the 4 guys. And really, those are the 3 guys, because I don't think Cade Klubnik, whatever, is that great, but the potential is there in another season back at college. You never know how things turn out. But I would wait. But regardless, the Giants played unbelievable football. Something that I don't think anyone would have predicted. This would have been, if you had to pick any team, any whatever to lose this week, it probably would have been the Giants. The Colts actually had something meaningful to play for still. The Colts could have been in the playoffs if they won this game, and again, if the Broncos lost to the Chiefs, but they didn't. And Drew Lock, 17 of 23 for 309 yards and 4 passing touchdowns on the day. Absolutely unbelievable. And which makes it even more special is Drew Lock's plus 1.18 EPA per play today is the 6th best of any quarterback since 1999. So all that means is, and if you don't know what EPA is, it's expected points added. So Drew Lock added 1.18 points per play, essentially. Which, puts him up there with Peyton Manning, Phillip Rivers, Lamar Jackson, Peyton Manning again, and Tom Brady. And now, Drew Lock. Absolutely crazy. He, again, the not tank commander, but the other thing, it's I'm happy for Drew Lock. You have those performances like that makes you stick around in the NFL just a little while longer. So shout out to Drew Lock. Shout out to Neighbors as well. 7 catches, 171 yards, 2 TDs. Neighbors is a freak. And the fact that Brian Kelly at LSU couldn't win more games with Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, and Brian Thomas Jr. with that offensive line is honestly absolutely shameful. But Neighbors is awesome. Again, the Giants have pieces. They have guys that I like, where I don't think just adding in a QB makes a difference, but if you can get like a good, solid vet bridge guy for this year, you get Andrew Thomas back, you get Dexter Lawrence back, that offense, at least on paper, would look pretty good. But shout out to the Giants for winning in this one. I know a lot of fans don't want to hear that, but shout out to the Giants. Colts on the other side. No effort, no compete from... Well, I'll blame the defense because that should not have happened. The Giants should not have 45 points scored on them. I should also add that the Giants' highest scoring mark up until this point was 22. So the Giants doubled their best regular season score of the season in this game. Absolutely embarrassing. Gus Bradley, if there's anyone who really deserves to be fired, it should be Gus Bradley. That defense sucks. He's run the same thing for 5+ years now, and it's predictable. Everyone knows what he's doing. But the Colts are in a weird spot where I don't think that Shane Steichen should be fired yet. But again, he's very, very close to being on the hot seat. He'll probably, again, I don't think he'll start on the season next year on the hot seat, but he's getting there. Where Chris Ballard is on the hot seat probably at this moment. Since he's been hired, again, he dealt with the Andrew Luck shit, and you give him some grace for that, but didn't find his quarterback. He's tried a bunch of different fucking Phillip Rivers, Jacoby Brissett, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, and then it's like, okay, they finally pick their guy, Anthony Richardson, who up and down, you see the wow plays, you see the what the hell are you doing plays, but that's who kind of he tied his job to at this point, is Anthony Richardson. And they decided to bench Anthony Richardson for no real apparent reason, but we'll never find out those reasons. But since Ballard has been hired, though, and I got this from Pardon My Take when listening, every other team in that division has won the division at least twice, and the Colts haven't even won it once. Again, I don't think he gets fired this year because I'm of the opinion where if you're going to fire guys, it should be both guys together. Get Steichen and Ballard out there at the same time. You don't want to bring in a new GM and then fire the coach immediately and have, again, you want both guys coming in under the same plan, under the same impression. And I don't think Ballard's been that bad at his job, at least talent evaluator wise. Because again, there's talent on that Colts team. It's just they didn't show up at all. Didn't show up whatsoever in a game that mattered. In a game where if they win, they had a chance to make the playoffs again if the Chiefs beat the Broncos, which might happen. I doubt it, but might happen. We can go on to our next game. Another big blowout here. Buccaneers 48, Panthers 14. Baker Mayfield 27 of 32, 359 yards and 5 passing TDs on the day. Baker is having a career year and an MVP candidate too. He's just under 4,300 yards. He's going to throw for 40 TDs when the season is done. He's completing almost 72% of his passes. Baker Mayfield is an absolute stud. I do think Baker Mayfield's a top 10 quarterback too. That's a whole other conversation when I talk about quarterbacks at larger lengths. I can bring it up, but the resurrection of Baker Mayfield has been awesome. And I am very, very happy to see Baker play like pretty close to elite level football. He deserves it after being cast away from the Browns. I mean, he goes on the Panthers, bit of a revenge game for him, I guess. But the fact that the Panthers had a QB room of Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold at one point in the year, and they were starting PJ Walker is kind of funny. And now you look at Darnold and Baker, where they're both MVP candidates right now. Neither will win the award, obviously, but hey, if you want to give them some 4th or 5th place votes on the Cover Zero ballot, link in my Instagram. But Baker's awesome. Baker is so much fun. Mike Evans is now, I think, 100 yards away. He's 85 yards away from getting his 1,000-yard mark. He will be getting that mark. I can guarantee you that he will be getting that mark in their last game. Mike Evans is a stud. Got to talk about Bucky Irving a little bit too. 20 carries, 113 yards, 5.7 average. Also added 77 yards on the ground. People are dubbing him like Kamara Light. Not, yeah, like that. That comparison makes a lot of sense to me. I can't wait to see what Bucky Irving does next year. But again, we still got the playoffs anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't want to play the Bucks if I was an NFC team right now. Their offense looks very, very good, especially with a healthy Bucky Irving back. Their offensive line is awesome. Their defense is fine. It is what it is. Yeah, Bucks are a lot of fun though. Bucks are a lot of fun. Panthers on the other side. Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Like, no Chuba Hubbard, no Derek Brown, no J.C. Horn, no good players. But Bryce Young continues to look good. It's crazy. His resurgence is also absolutely incredible. Again, went from being in conversations with Jamarcus Russell to how bad he's playing to now being like, yeah, he's a quality starter. He looks really good. I still need to see a little bit more for him to really bump him up in my next tier of quarterbacks, but I'm very impressed with what Bryce Young is doing, and he's doing it again with Adam Thielen as his number one target. Adam Thielen in this one, 5 catches, 110 yards, and 2 TDs. Get Bryce like an actual wide receiver who's not in his mid-30s. And like then we can talk about like some development. Their offensive line's good. Again, Panthers got a whole other thing, like a whole lot to fix still, but when you're looking at how they were viewed at the midway point with Bryce sucks, they need another quarterback again. Finding a quarterback is just like, it's the hardest part in the NFL of being a successful team is if you don't have a quarterback, you're not winning a lot of games. I don't care how good your head coach is. Head coach also matters a ton, obviously, but quarterback is the hardest thing to find, in my opinion. And it went from, being in conversations with Jamarcus Russell, one of the biggest busts in NFL history, to, Bryce Young is a borderline top 20 QB right now. That's great. Shout out to Bryce. Again, Panthers need a whole lot of help, but that's what the offseason's for. They can maybe play spoiler. I doubt it. Either way. Next game up here, Jags 20, Titans 13. Game that absolutely did not matter. The Titans now, I think, pick 2nd overall right now. That's pretty good. Again, I wouldn't take either of these quarterbacks, but at least you have the option to do whatever you want to do. Jags, Mac is fine. I think Mac is a very good backup quarterback. Again, I said I'd like him in Miami. Brian Thomas Jr., 7 catches, 91 yards, and another TD. He just kind of puts up that stat line every single week. The ceiling for Brian Thomas Jr. is potentially one of the best receivers in the league, but we can talk about that when he does kind of get to those numbers. But the potential is crazy for BTJ, and I mean, just this rookie wide receiver class in general we can talk about. I mean, Brian Thomas Jr. is the best rookie receiver of the bunch so far. Neighbors had an incredible year. Marv had a good year, but obviously didn't live up to his expectations, but still had a very good productive year, despite not really getting the ball thrown his way or forced his way like some of the other guys. Ladd had a good year. Pearsall's shown some flashes. Odunze's shown some flashes. I feel like I'm probably forgetting. Worthy's had his moments. A.D. Mitchell, the stats aren't there for him whatsoever, but he just gets open consistently. That's someone, this is for way in the future, but A.D. Mitchell I want him on my fantasy teams for next season. Maybe. I don't know. I digress. The Jags are whatever. They won. They're probably not very happy that they won, but hey, they did. And Titans on the other side, they're happy that they lost. Mason Rudolph sucks. Tyjae Spears had a good game. We'll just move on. Next game up here, Dolphins 20, Browns 3. Tyler Huntley, the first Dolphins backup to ever come in for Tua and have a really good game. Huntley was 22 of 26, 225 yards and a passing TD. Also added 52 yards on the ground. Tyreek Hill had 100 yards in his game. Malik Washington, 4 catches for 41 yards. Jonnu Smith caught that 1 TD. The offense looked fine. Again, we were playing a really shitty Browns team, and when I say Browns team, I'm really more throwing shade at DTR at this point, but Miami is now in the position to potentially make the playoffs. Again, all that matters is that Broncos-Chiefs game, and as much as I would like to think that Carson Wentz and the backups could do something, but I think that the Broncos are just going to win, and I won't have to worry about it at all. But I don't know. I was very happy with this game, and Tua didn't play in this one, had a hip injury. Apparently he was pushing the play, but the staff shut him down, which I don't mind. But there's so many people online complaining about, oh, Tua's a pussy, Tua didn't want it, blah, blah, blah. It's not his call at the end of the day. And I don't know what people want, because as soon as it's like, the Dolphins won. Be happy that the Dolphins won. We still have a chance at the playoffs. Again, the playoffs really matter when we got to go up to Buffalo anyways and get the shit kicked out of us again? No, but playoffs would be nice. I still think that we should be able to beat the Jets without Tua. I don't think that's that tough of an ask, but yeah, it's just kind of like a shoulda, coulda, woulda season for the Dolphins. Lots of injuries, lots of important injuries too, and it's all coming down to basically if Tua would have played one of those starts against the Seahawks, Colts, or who was the other team that we played in that 4-game stretch? I forget. We would have won at least one of those games and would be in the playoffs, but again, doesn't really matter. Defense played well again. Shout out to old man Calais Campbell. Shout out to Chop Robinson, still playing well. Jordan Brooks has also absolutely been an awesome linebacker for us this year, but we can move on. Also, yeah, this was a Tyler Huntley revenge game. He was the Browns' 4th QB and ended up being cut. I would say that... what was I trying to say? Yeah, I'd say that Tyler Huntley is definitely better than Deshaun Watson and is definitely better than Dorian Thompson-Robinson. DTR sucks. And this isn't even like, he's bad, but DTR is awful. There's only a few quarterbacks that you really give that moniker to, and the one that I always remember of being holy shit, that guy is terrible, is Christian Ponder. And I think DTR is right up there with him. There have only been 2 instances of a quarterback averaging under 4 yards per pass attempt with at least 100 attempts in a season over the past 20 years, and it's 2023 DTR and it's 2024 DTR. I like the idea of DTR coming out of college, coming out of UCLA. Tall, big body guy, athletic, mobile, pretty good arm on him, but he's awful. He is a very, very bad quarterback, and the Browns are doing an excellent tank job right now, where if DTR is starting, they don't have a chance to win. And that's exactly the case. The Dolphins left the door open a little bit in this one throughout the game, but DTR is such a bad quarterback where it just didn't matter. And I don't like shitting on young players and young quarterbacks especially, but he is just awful. And he's had many chances to prove that he is not an awful quarterback and hasn't done that at all. So we will move on here. Next game up, Packers 25, Vikings 27. Don't be confused by this final score. The Vikings kicked the shit out of them. Packers made it close late, whatever. But again, the Vikings won this game handily. It wasn't... Yeah, they were up 15 going into the fourth quarter. Or no, they were up 17 going into the fourth quarter. Packers scored 2 touchdowns late, but again, didn't really matter at the end of the day. Sam Darnold continues to be incredible, and again, be one of these MVP candidates I keep talking about. 33 of 43, 377 yards, 3 passing touchdowns for him in this one too, and brings up his season totals to just under 4,200 passing yards, 35 TDs, 68% completion percentage. I don't know what the Vikings do with Sam Darnold at this point. And like, there's a few hypotheticals that get floated out of, oh, do you... Like, I don't think you can let him hit the open market. Like, I don't think that that's an option. Where, to me, what I would do is I'd sign Darnold for, again, like that Baker Mayfield type contract, that middle ground QB contract, where it's like, we believe in you, but we're not giving you top paid money because you have just been thrown around the league a bunch. But again, if you can give him a 4-year, $160 million deal with I don't know how much guaranteed, I'm pretty sure Darnold takes that. And then if you can move off JJ McCarthy and get like a top 20 pick for him, again, there's so many QB needy teams right now where you're telling me that like the Jets or I'm trying to think of teams with like not that high. It's like, I don't know, maybe the Steelers, like someone would give up their first round pick to get JJ McCarthy this year. I can guarantee that. JJ McCarthy would have been QB1 in this class, in my opinion. That's, again, and if you've listened to this, you'd know I'm not that big of a fan of JJ McCarthy, but that's just how little I think of this QB class. To me, like, that's the best option. Sign Darnold, get rid of JJ McCarthy, or you do the opposite, where you do the Kirk and Penix thing, where you sign Darnold, and all of a sudden, if Darnold starts to suck for whatever reason, oh, wow, you have JJ McCarthy there. But JJ's value is going to be the highest that it is right now. Because if you wait that extra year and then be like, shit, Sam is our guy, like we're not going to wait for JJ, then, again, that next year's draft class is, I think it's going to be a much, much better quarterback class. And a lot of guys are going to be hesitant to have 3 years on his rookie deal, and I don't know if the 5th-year option transfers over, so maybe only 2 years left on that deal. Like, that doesn't really sound worth it. There's been the option floated out for Darnold, too, is, oh, do you do the tag and trade where you franchise tag him and then trade him off so you can get some asset, or do you just franchise tag him in general? And I think that's a big disservice to Sam Darnold. Like, again, culture matters, and this locker room absolutely loves Darnold. And you can't treat the quarterback like that of the team and basically be like, we're fucking over your generational money just because we don't want you going somewhere else, but we also don't want to pay you. And I don't think that the Vikings staff and front office anyways, I don't think that they will do that to him, but Sam Darnold is absolutely awesome. In my opinion, it's the trade JJ McCarthy, have that be that. Ride into the sunset with Sam Darnold, see what happens, but they now have the opportunity to play for the 1 seed, which is absolutely crazy. Playing the Lions to cap off the season on week 18. I don't know, the Vikings are so good. Blake Cashman, having a great, one of the better linebackers. Flores loves him, sack and a half in this one. Van Ginkel, another half sack. It's weird how, like, the start of the year I was talking about, like, oh, I don't really like, again, especially, like, this Viking secondary, like, I wasn't huge fans of. Byron Murphy Jr. having a crazy year. Gilly is still solid. I don't know. There's a lot to like on the Vikings right now, and they're having a great season, where Packers on the other side, they are now 11-5, and 4 of those losses have come between the Lions and the Vikings. They play at a really, really tough division, and they are still a really good team. It's just the Vikings and Lions have their number. Obviously, playoffs, we'll see what happens, but Jordan Love, rather unspectacular in this one, but again, this is kind of what you get when you don't have a true number 1 option. No Christian Watson for them in this one. He is kind of their field stretcher. But like Dobbs, Kraft, Wicks. I don't know how Jaden Reed went from like being one of the best like weapons that the Packers have to just not being used whatsoever and scheming him touches. Like, I don't know. That's a Matt LaFleur question, but the Packers offense seems to be fading while a lot of teams are kind of surging right now. But yeah, I don't know. The Packers, they're the seventh team of my top 7 teams where these teams are actual contenders. Because I don't feel comfortable enough dropping them into that Steelers, Chargers, Bucks, Ram. Maybe I do, because I think that the Packers might be closer to the Bucks than the Packers are to like the Vikings and Ravens, which are just ahead of them. So maybe, I don't know, but either way, I think that they need a number one. They need a true number one. I like the weapons that they have. They have a very, very good group, but they do not have a clear number one weapon, which I think that ends up hurting them at the end of the day because you have performances like this when you kind of just can't. And final game here, Falcons 24, Commanders 30. Tough sledding for the Falcons because now they went from controlling their own destiny again to the Bucks controlling their destiny. But yeah, Jaden Daniels breaks RG3's rookie rushing record. He had 127 yards rushing in this one, 3 passing TDs as well. And I'm not going to knock, because that's the thing. And I said it when I was talking about Brock Bowers earlier, but Jaden Daniels is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Would he have my vote if I did have a vote? No, he would not. I would still vote for Brock Bowers because I think Brock Bowers is having a better overall season than Jaden Daniels is right now. Obviously, positions weighted tight end versus quarterback. We know that QBs are more important, and that's why Jaden Daniels is going to get the award. But he's having an unbelievable rookie season, and also a season I didn't think that he was going to have. I didn't have a lot of high hopes for this Commanders team. And yeah, they've like blown it out of the water essentially. Just over 3,500 yards. He has 25 touchdowns through the air, completing 69% of his passes. And then the rushing numbers. He has 864 yards rushing, which is now a rookie record, and 6 TDs on the ground. He does it all. And Commanders fans should be really, really happy with themselves that, again, this is year 1 for them, and this is how good this team look. And I still think that this team has a lot of holes to fill, but the fact that Jaden Daniels does look that good, that great, I should say, is a huge win. Shout out to old man Zach Ertz, 2 TDs in this one. Olamide Zaccheaus, 8 catches, 85 yards and a TD. Very quiet game from Terry McLaurin. I think that's because AJ Terrell was probably covering him for most of the game. I have no idea. Yeah. Commanders win, Commanders come away with the win. They were great. Dante Fowler Jr. also added another sack. Again, this is just another one of those, damn, that old man's still playing that good of football, and Dante Fowler Jr. just turned 30 this year, has been in the league. I think this is his 10th season right now. And I'm pretty sure he just hit a career mark for sacks in a season. He's got 10.5, so he's 1 sack shy of hitting his career mark for sacks. So shout out to Dante Fowler Jr. Falcons on the other side. Why you didn't run Bijan Robinson more in the second half when he was just absolutely crushing it the first half? I don't really know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but neither do the Falcons. I'm very confused about what the Falcons kind of do at all times, regardless of who's coach or quarterback or whatever. They just seem to always get in their own way, essentially. Drake London is awesome, 7 catches, 106 yards. Kyle Pitts randomly decided to show up in fantasy championship finals when no one was starting him. 4 catches, 44 yards, and a TD. But again, it is really the Bijan stuff where I'm like, why didn't you run this man more in the second half? Beats me. Yeah, and I don't think that the Falcons are going to make the playoffs now. They're not going to win the division because the Bucks are still playing for something next week, because obviously they got to win that division. They have an easy matchup too. I forget who they play, but again, this is for Friday's show. Yeah, I can talk about Michael Penix here a little bit. You can see the stuff that might make Michael Penix like a very good NFL quarterback at some point. But right now, it's the stuff that I didn't like about him that's also showing up, where he has the arm strength to like really put the ball through a keyhole in a tight window, all that verbiage, whatever. But there's times where I don't know, he looks very okay to me. And this is, again, I brought it up a few weeks ago when he was about to get his first start, where he's going into a situation with a above average offensive line across the board, with weapons basically everywhere he could want them, where he should come in and be able to make a difference. Where I think the difference between him and Kirk is not that huge at this point. Yeah, there's throws that Penix is making that Kirk just can't make anymore because his arm is shot at this point. Like, just arm strength wise, Kirk can't make those throws. But there's other throws where I'm just like, why are you making that? Or why are you, I don't know. Penix is fine. Again, he has one more game to give myself a little bit more of a look, and then we'll go into next season and we'll see from there, I guess. But I haven't been wowed by anything that Michael Penix is doing. I think in terms of rookie QB play, he's probably fourth for me right now. Actually, he's probably fifth, because I think it would be Jane Daniels, Drake May, Bo Nix. I'd still put Caleb above him because I have seen a bunch of wow plays from Caleb. I've seen a lot of bad, but I still have seen a lot of wows, where Michael Penix is just kind of meh. He's been pretty good. He's probably closer to like Bo Nix in terms of just like what they both do, but Bo Nix just has a bigger sample size, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, that does it for the Week 17 recap. Good episode, longer episode. Again, vote on my awards in my Instagram bio. I will clip that out and post it to see how much traffic I can get. I got 14 responses right now, which I actually am quite happy about. But yeah, Friday's show going to be the final. What am I trying to say? The final week recap. The last recap of this, because it's not the last. It's also a preview. I don't know what I'm saying right now. This is bad. This is very bad podcasting laid into it. It was such a good episode, and then it's just, I've tanked it. Yeah, so doing, the final week of the season, doing the preview for that, seeing how many teams are sitting guys, how many, again, not a lot of teams are playing for things that really matter at this point. Draft positioning is going to matter. Yeah, I will finally re-record my one player in NFL history with Cloyce Box to get that out there on TikTok and Instagram. But, so yeah, no player in NFL history again to do it. I do want to get back into it. That might just be an off-season thing where once there's not that much going on, I can really focus on it. But I got all my Cloyce Box notes still that I'll talk about. But, yeah, that'll do it. As always, if you've liked this, please like, share, retweet, subscribe, tell your friends, and all that fun stuff. And until next time, peace.